Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys are watching Sex and the City and rom-coms and movies and so many other things. I'm Corey Cavan.
I'm Kevin Doyle. And guess what? We're at the end of a great time, a great few films. We are finishing Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman.
The prettiest woman I've ever seen.
You know, she's beautiful. And that's the thing. She's pretty. She's a whore, but she's beautiful. And he, not a great guy. You know, in the original, this is true. In the original, he was going to dump her on the street. He's going to dump her on the street because he does not truly appreciate sex workers. Disgusting.
He made a bet that she couldn't stop doing cocaine. And she couldn't.
And this woman, she's flossing. She's not doing drugs. She's an innocent person. She's young. She's beautiful. She got caught up in a certain lifestyle, but I believe people can change. you know, Gere and fucking Costanza were probably doing business with Trump at the time.
Oh, they're
corporate takeovers in the 90s.
Oh, their characters.
Sleazeballs.
If they're doing real estate deals at the time, absolutely. Because Gere, it's from New York.
He's from New York.
He can't drive.
That's what I'm going to start. I don't even know why we got on it. I don't like talking about the guy, but
yeah.
But it would be fun to start whenever, with strangers especially. If people are ever like, "Oh, what Sex and the City character are you?" You're like, "I'm Donald Trump." Why would you say that? Because he's actually in the show.
He's in the show. Are you a Carrie, a Samantha, a Charlotte, or Miranda?
I'm more of a Donald Trump.
I'm more of a Donald Trump
because
I just walk across bars for one scene.
Yeah, I walk about. I'm either that or saggy ass man.
I'm one of the two guys in Sex and the City season 2. Is that what it is?
I caught my ass in the mirror the other day and I was like, it is funny. Like, I guess I have to work out to keep it. But I was like, it's not always going to be this perk.
Totally.
You know? Because right now it's just a butt that's like round and everything. But it's like,
yeah, at some point.
From what I've seen about the human body.
Listen. Preach, sister.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I get it. I look and I'm like, oof, listen, this top frame.
I feel fine now.
Yeah, I feel fine now. But yeah, we got it. Listen, gravity's real.
Yeah.
Brother.
Yeah. Sometimes you go in the bathroom, the lighting's off and I'm just like, geez, I'm filming something now. And the cinematographer is always just like, damn, your eyes are just so deep set. I cannot light them. And I'm like,
listen,
right.
I've heard stories. Hey, glad I hired you on the crew.
Looks like I'm dying.
I've heard that that's happened in like Hollywood circles, and people have gotten like thrown off jobs before because it's like, wow, their eyes are just so deep set. And
really?
And then finally people are just like, okay, you know what? Whether the deep set or not, you need to.
Is this true?
This is absolutely true. And then
you're doing a bit.
No, and then people
horrible.
And people have gotten thrown off jobs, like camera people and stuff, because they're like, okay, you know what? If you can't shoot the eyes and make them look good, then what are you good for? And
okay, so the camera people get fired.
Camera people get fired.
Thank God.
No, not the actors.
Oh God.
You were like, am I going to get fired?
I was like, this is like a oddly mean thing for Corey to say.
No. So I don't mean the actors. That's really funny.
Did you know they're rebooting Pretty Woman? They just announced it this week.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing like a modern take on it. It's called Ugly Man. It's called Ugly Man and it's directed by a woman. And it's like, oh, and they're like, get this fucking dog mutt ugly guy in there.
Get him out of here. No, it's called Ugly Man, and it's just a dude who's dressed in the current cool clothing.
Yeah.
Where he just looks terrible.
Ugly man, farting in his sheets. Ugly man. Most of them aren't as good looking as they think. Ugly man. You know that you really look like shit. And no one tells you it. Ugly man, you got some saggy tits, ugly man, and you smell like shit, ugly man. I'm only fucking you 'cause you're rich. Get it?
No, you're a man, but you're still a
Bitch.
mercy. Whoa, mercy.
Ugly man. He's rocking. He's at 5'1", ugly man. And he weighs a ton, ugly man. But he is going to provide. He's really rich and he has a yacht.
And he's the best one that I got. Cause I'm also ugly. That's the end of it. You find out that whoever's dating the ugly man is also ugly.
And they actually found their soulmate.
They found their soulmate. They're both ugly and one of them is rich. That's the best you could.
That's the best you can do. And you know what?
Best you can hope for.
He is not good with his money. She manages his money, makes him even richer. They love each other.
There you go. Absolutely.
Ugly man.
Ugly man. Hey, I am good with numbers, ugly man.
And you are good at Hummers. They have a good sex life
They have a
too.
great sex life.
'Cause
One of
guess
them
what?
is great at Hummers.
Sometimes you see someone ugly and they're married to someone ugly. You're like, fucking yes.
Hey, turn the lights off. It's all the
No,
same.
leave it on.
Oh.
It's all about the
When you-
connection. Dude, when I see certain, I mean, we should watch She's Out of Your League, but the league is true,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you see certain people, it's just like,
Did you ever get on the League, the dating app?
no,
It's so lame.
no.
It's all about like cool, successful people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the one that's cool, unsuccessful people.
Yeah, you're on it's like a cool like invite only one, right?
Yeah. Grinder.
Grinder.
Dude, it is kind of crazy. I've talked to
Some dude was like, "Hey, it's invite only," and you were like, "It is," just to make you feel special. And he's like, "I'm gonna fuck the shit out of this guy."
yeah. And I was like, ooh.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But yeah. Julia Roberts, like, what is she falling in love? Like, she's falling in love with him because he's rich and successful, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's authentic.
It's authentic. He's also in their best moments, they have a connection, and he is whether he's just whether he's just spoiling her, like he is treating her well.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, take the card, go out, and he's spoiling her, but they also have like a fun connection together too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Until she found out that, you know, he told Jason Alexander she's just a hooker. And then Jason Alexander gave her the weird, like, we should do some business together sometime.
Yeah. Because he's not in her league. Jerry!
Yeah, he's out of her league.
Jerry, I'm fucking a whore. We already did that.
Was that Kramer?
Yeah. Jerry, she's a whore.
Jerry.
But I love her.
But I love her. She can drive a stick, if you know what I mean.
No, it is just kind of funny that it's like, if the guy, like, he's got it all, so he can, you know, because that's the rule. You're not supposed to fall in love with prostitutes.
Exactly. That is, yeah. No, that is the rule. You're right.
Yeah.
Don't fall in love with a prostitute. Is the same rule don't fall in love with a stripper?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, totally.
Because there's a transactional element to it
Exactly.
that has to be.
What about, okay, bartender?
Same rule applies, in my opinion.
Coffee shop person.
Yes.
Um,
All of these
grocery store cashier.
Yes, but I've never had a connection.
Oh, I have.
That, I mean, not enough for me to be like, ooh, waitress.
Me and Hector, father of 6, older patriarch.
He'll never know how I feel, but whenever I had to stop going to that Trader Joe's.
Thank you for the radishes. Why are you crying, my friend?
My friend.
Because I'll never see you again.
My friend.
Okay.
All of my children are going to school soon, and I'm looking for a new chapter in my life. I would like to give you radishes forever.
Really?
In our Trader Joe's in Portugal. That's not where I'm from. That's just a vacation.
This accent is actually I was raised in Nebraska.
I was raised in Nebraska, and I'm actually an actor. I'm going to a dialects class.
Oh wow!
And I'm trying to work on that. But anyways, do you want to get a drink sometime? Or can you shave some radishes? Can you make me a radish martini? And then he takes the masks off, and then he realizes he's not attractive. He's an ugly man.
Song was about Hector.
Let's finish that movie.
All right, Pretty Woman going in part 3. Here we go. Bye.
Pretty Woman, directed by Gary Marshall. In this modern update on Cinderella, a sex worker and a wealthy businessman fall hard for one another, forming an unlikely pair. While on a business trip to LA, Edward, played by Richard Gere, who makes a living buying and breaking up companies, picks up a sex worker, Vivian, played by Julia Roberts, on a lark. After Edward hires Vivian to stay with him for the weekend, the two get closer only to discover there are significant hurdles to overcome as they try to bridge the gap between their very different worlds. And now, back to the boys.
We're talking Pretty Women on the pod today.
I don't want to get too drunk and then just overuse the because I have a tendency.
Way to just say a thing and then do it.
I know. Corey and I are drinking wine.
Yeah, we had a bottle of chilled red.
And I'm Godfather 3 right now. I'm just like, just when you think
It's a California chilled red.
Bud Wood.
But you know what the craziest thing about it is? It's from 2020. Wow. The year wine changed. This wine's not wearing a mask. Get used to it.
Dude,
Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman was so good.
We've talked about this.
It was just such a good Act 3. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, it's like we talked about, we've watched a lot of movies and I talked with someone else. I told someone else we were watching this and I was like, we're surprised like how good it is. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And they were like, Pretty Woman's like a film.
Yeah.
Like the Act 3 is great.
Yeah, it really is because the stakes I think are so high and they've actually fill me up, buttercup, pour me a glass of wine. We're wine boys you guys have known that for years, but we legitimately are big wine guys. And tonight it's going to show. But this is honestly why I think this movie resonated stronger than ever, because there's a lot of movies that are like, oh yeah, I think the transactional fuck. I'm like listening. You usually don't hear your voice. I'm clearly.
I think everyone should. I think that everyone, when they go to a bar, should have to wear headphones where they hear themselves in their head.
I know.
Like, shoot, I'm going to stop talking.
But I was thinking about it because I was like, all right, we're drinking wine. We've done a few pods.
I do another podcast where we drink 2 bottles of wine within like an hour.
Yeah.
And,
bottle of red, bottle of white. Billy Joel podcast.
We talk about other music. We talk about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
About Action Bronson. But my point is, yes, go listen to that podcast. But 2, yeah, it's hard to do.
But so
yeah,
keep me on track if I'm just being drunk talk. But this movie, especially in Act 3, because at first she's a prostitute, and then as things go on, she's a human being like all prostitutes are. I'm not saying that.
Right. But they show more humanity than you would just think that they're like, they that's part of him seeing her more.
But Act 3, you're just like, you're in with both of the characters, and Act 3 is all about like the transactional nature of connection and sex and like, what do we do with it? And now I'm like, that's mainstream now, because now I'm not saying like, if you're hooking up on Tinder, you're a prostitute, but there's way more ability to be like, where do I find people that want to fuck, or like hookup culture? Like that is
Whole Foods. That's
Whole
where you
Foods.
find people that want to fuck.
Oh, I see that you're getting the, you don't roast almonds. Oh, that's interesting.
Interesting. You like it raw as well? Oh, damn. No, but you're like, it's more in the culture now. Like, where do you want to?
Yeah.
How do you find people?
Like basically the act 3 of this movie that is just like, what will he do? What will she do?
Mm-hmm.
She just wants the, and it has a Cinderella element, but if you take the Cinderella element away, you're kind of like, so many people we know, so many times we've been, that you're like, oh, this relationship was just this, and does it turn into this? That is a normal conversation now. That's like, oh, you were hooking up with that person? But you caught feelings. Like catching feelings now is a thing that's like, oh, you've fucking blasted on her tits 50 times. I'm kidding.
Okay, maybe we should get you some water.
No. But
God.
I'm okay. But
Continue.
or for a girl that it's like this guy that's been coming over a whole bunch of times.
Coming over.
You know that wasn't a no. That was a you.
Come on.
But oh, is this a real relationship?
Right.
Is this a real connection?
Right.
Or is this just a hookup?
Right.
And that's where I'm like, act 3 of this movie is like so much of, yeah, what are you in it for? Do you want to grow this, or is this just a thing? And I think the words prostitute or sex worker, even that, like, can, I guess just this plot line, if you just watched the bottom, the end third, and you were like, let's say it starts from like, you met this girl online, and then you have one little party and you hook up, and then it's like you go to, and then it's from that to the end, and she's not a prostitute. It's kind of what a lot of modern sex and dating can be.
Well, and I think that the key to that is that the relationship in this movie and the relationship, I think, of what you're saying is it's transactional.
Yes.
So it's the transactionality of it all.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we'll talk about the plot, but they get to a place where he thinks he's doing the right thing. He's trying to set her up, and he's like, I never treated you like a prostitute. And then he walks away, and she's like, until now. And it's like, but that's like when they've already been in the feelings thing of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that, I guess it's kind of like you always get into more, like you can never have greater things without the responsibility of it. Like,
yeah.
Like listen, people, hey, people been snogging and raw dogging for all of time. We've talked about how this is the world's oldest profession.
Yeah.
So it's not just like people have been hooking up forever.
Wait, it's not coding? I thought it was coding. I'm developing an app. No, you fucking dork. Until you suck dick, you're not.
Oh, no.
You're not doing the world's oldest profession. You fucking dork.
But I'm solving problems.
We like the old problems, you fucking dork.
My whole problem is I can't have an orgasm.
All right.
Log off of Python and get onto my Python. Okay. But no, it's just, my point is that we all know, like, it's not like in the past 20 years, it's like people have been having sex and doing stuff for forever. But you're right. There is a proliferation of those things, I think. Yes. I don't think anyone would disagree with the fact that, like, just because of the modern nature of technology, that stuff is much more readily available now. And like you're saying, relationships as a result have become more transactional.
Yes.
And in this movie, and modern relationships are not necessarily always about sex work or about, paying someone money. I would say that probably most of them, or more than less, are not. But yes, because of where we are, it's more transactional. And then you have to deal with what you're talking about, which is catching feelings.
And the fact that this movie was like a phenomenon
Phenomenon.
is is in itself a thing that it's like, okay, people, no one that's watching this movie besides 10 people,
Mhm.
excuse me, no one that's watching this movie besides 10 people
Mhm.
are rich. So it's like, as a guy, you get to put yourself in Richard Gere and be like, oh, what would it be like to see the most beautiful, like, woman in distress
Mhm.
and be able to offer her, quote unquote, everything.
Mhm.
And then from the girl's perspective, it's the Cinderella story, which is basically, they even say that they make references to Cinderella.
Mhm.
And so there's something in this movie that it's like, I don't know any sex workers. Do I? I don't know. I don't think I do. I don't think I'm close friends with any like sex workers, even OnlyFans or anything like that.
Kevin.
Huh?
I'm a sex worker.
Dude. And if you are, honestly, I'll subscribe.
Listen. There's a special tier that I've locked you and John out of the Patreon.
Oh,
It's
fuck.
just
I
me.
forgot this is a Patreon episode.
It's
so
just
for
me doing-
$25 a month.
Get on the highest tier.
But there is a thing that it's like, what connected everyone to this story?
Mm-hmm.
Why would a movie like this make $500 million unless you see, because that's what I think Act 3 does, is make you realize, like, and we talked about this, but it's like, it's kind of crazy how insanely lame it is to, it's fine to be like, listen, this isn't the best path for your life. I think in general, it's better to be a doctor than a porn star.
Right.
In general.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's probably better to be better to be a doctor than a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
the doctor, if you can get through the debt and all the years of school, like, solid choice, at least in this
Yeah.
country. Yeah.
But they have the scene, and then we'll do the plot, but they have a scene where it's like early on, these like older, like, people like look at Julia Roberts in a way that's like, we have a whore in our hotel.
Mhm.
And you're sort of like, well, yeah, she's a whore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then they do that to Julia Roberts' friend, which they do write her a little bit louder, a little bit less classy.
Yeah.
But then when you see the couple look at them, I watched that. I was like, it is honestly insane. The way that people that engage in the way that sex work is stigmatized
Mm-hmm.
in a negative way, and stigmatized is worse than just being like, I don't know, there's better life paths than this. Cause you realize, like, and so I was trying to think about the difference between stigma and like just seeing a human being for the 100% full thing they are. Because I'll be honest with you, I've looked at pornography and I've jerked off to it.
I'm laughing because the second part of the sentence is what you expect.
Yeah.
But I was thinking you're going to be like, and I got some thoughts.
I've watched it, and honestly, there's some good cinematography. But
You're going to like the way you look
you're gonna
at pornography.
But do you know what I mean? That it's like
Yeah.
the stigma of it, that when someone's just like even within the movie, they're like, oh yeah, we like Julia Roberts, but this new whore that we don't know yet,
Totally.
like, she's still a whore.
Yeah.
And so it's even within the movie, they play with it in a way they're like, this is kind of crazy.
Mhm.
Like, the thing that clearly there's still a market for prostitutes. That's why it's the oldest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And yet still there are people, and I don't know. I'm all in all, whatever.
No.
We've had some wine, but this is a great third act that I think speaks to
Very
so
good.
many things.
Yeah. Well, it really, that part, we'll do the plot in a second, like we said, but that part does get to the place where everyone's kind of falling in love with Julia Roberts, America's sweetheart. Bernie, not the maitre d',
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff D.
Bernie Madoff D. Pretty Madoff D. No, the guy that is the concierge, whatever, the like head dude at the hotel that, gives Julia Roberts like cotillion lessons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He really respects her. But then you get a friend coming in, and I'm sure that even if everyone has gotten on board with Julia Roberts, then they see her friend, they're just like, hey, listen, we can't have a hotel full of horse.
Yeah.
All right, if we fall in love with this one, another one's gonna. It's like we can't have too many stray cats.
I mean,
We get listen. Like Julia Roberts, she's great. Her friend, okay, fine. What are we gonna do next? We got another one. We got a male prostitute showing up. This is a hotel.
just in the lobby, just like winking at married women.
It's not a Starbucks for whores.
Dude,
use the bathroom
that's what
somewhere else.
That's what they needed to do. They needed that like old couple to just be like, my word. And then like a Chippendale comes in and the wife is just like,
Oh,
who's
good.
he?
Oh, goodness.
And the guy, yeah. And it's like, oh, interesting.
The guy walks by and then she puts her menu down and goes, I think I'll have the beefcake for dinner. Is there a movie about
Yes.
there's American Gigolo.
It's called Her.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, is there a movie about male prostitutes?
There is American Gigolo and Midnight Cowboy.
Midnight Cowboy. That's what I'm thinking of. It's not American Gigolo.
Harry
Midnight
Nilsson.
Cowboy.
Ding, 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 ding.
God,
Yeah.
Midnight Cowboy's so good.
Yeah. I
Such a
haven't
good-
seen it in years.
So good.
So let's do the plot and then try and
Yeah.
dig in as much as we can.
Okay, so
All that to say, watch the whole full movie if you haven't.
It's
This
so good.
It's really good, and it's
it's
like
great.
it's cool.
Okay, so we go to the croquet party, where Jason Alexander, gets all creepy on her and says we should get together sometime. And then her and Edward, they go back to the hotel. We get a scene of them talking, and he talks about, he's like, you made this your profession. Like, you made this your job. And she tells a little bit of her history about like doing, like she tried to park cars in high school. Like she tried some other jobs, and then she got into this job.
And her mom always called her the bum follower.
Yeah, because she would always follow bums around.
Yeah, and
She would
that's how she
always-
got to LA.
Yeah.
And he was a bum,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's here.
Mm-hmm.
She's becomes a prostitute,
Mm-hmm.
and then she kind of gives her backstory in a way that she says something. Damn, what does she say? She basically is like, yeah, no one wants to be this.
Yeah. I know the line you're talking about, and I'm wishing we wrote it down.
Yeah,
But she talks about how people see you as that,
yeah.
but it's just, you take that on and then people see you as that.
So then they have the big business meeting, which is very similar to a scene in Along Came Polly. There's something with guys in business meetings and rom-coms that is a trope. That it's
About the conference room table.
100%.
Totally.
Because that's like Along Came Polly.
It's also Elf.
Yes,
Huge
in Elf,
business
yeah.
meeting in Elf on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Totally.
So the business meeting, he basically is like, takes the old man aside. And if you watch the movie, like the guy's so fucking old. He's so old, and Richard Gere takes him aside and is just like, listen, man, once Pretty Woman raps, he breaks the character. He's like, once Pretty Woman raps, like, you got to go talk to your family because you're going to die in 10 seconds.
How much though? Well, similar, but also sad. And probably 10, 15 years after that, how much does that guy remind you of Jason Robards in Magnolia?
Oh, a lot.
Old man.
Yeah.
It's like that type of actor.
Yeah. 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 Very old, very at the end of
And Jason
his-
Robards, I think, was sick in Magnolia,
died.
and he died right after shooting.
Yeah.
I think he might have died before it came out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, let's do Magnolia. I'm totally.
Good God. Magnolia is not a rom-com, but it's a,
Yeah, it is.
there's rom and there's com.
There's calm. We can do it. So,
Good Lord, what a good movie. Okay,
so he dies. No. So
no, he doesn't. Richard Gere.
Richard Gere ends the
He
business
he
deal.
kicks everyone out of the. He kicks Jason Alexander, Kicks everyone out of the room except for him and the old man.
He's like, listen, I'm out of this. He screws the business deal. He leaves. He goes back to
Very important point. After he screws the business deal, he goes downstairs. He takes off his shoes. He walks in the grass on the side of the road, which, listen, this is not a slight on Los Angeles, but I'm just saying, to be on like a random street in LA, maybe I'm absolutely wrong here. If you live in LA and I'm totally wrong, let me know. But to walk outside, like he walks outside and finds like a little patch of grass on the side of some road and walks and is like pulls up his slacks.
he just gets connected to nature.
And then it match cuts to her barefoot in the hotel room.
Yeah.
But there is kind of a thing where it's like, it's hard if you're in Midtown Manhattan, hard to walk out and find some grass. I kind of feel like no matter if you're in some random like street in LA, hard, like
I can't make a judgment on it because I haven't been there enough to.
I feel like LA, it's like there's a lot of like hiking, and then there's like, oh yeah, if you go to this place, it's a big open place. There's a lot of grass, but there's something that feels like he walked out and found a patch of grass. I don't know. This isn't really tracking. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He went out, found some grass to make sure that it worked.
well, then what they cut is that he lifted his leg and pissed in the grass like a dog.
Then George Costanza as he's walking around in the grass, George Costanza from Seinfeld tries to fucking rape Julia Roberts violently.
He comes back to the hotel. Yeah. Tries to rape her.
and
then is like talks about how
he's like, the business didn't go through, Jerry.
yeah.
And then
he hits her in the face.
He fucking punches her in the face, which honestly, those are the moments that make these movies better. Like this movie on the whole, but those are the moments that separate a decent movie from a great movie are the moments where it's like, you realize like the stakes are real. And that was like, dude, this is crazy. And that happens all the time. She's getting authentic feelings for an authentic person. And then it's just like, come on. No, I don't want to have sex with you. I didn't agree to this. I'm not into this at all. And it's just
totally.
Like, I have a fucking boner.
Totally. I mean, like I think from Jason Alexander, from his character's point of view, he's acting out of like he's been screwed over in business, and then he just used that as fuel. It's just like, and you're a prostitute, and he goes full transactional, and not only full transactional, but just full like mean and bad, And then Gear walks in, pops him in the face, pops him in the face.
What the fuck are you doing?
And he's just like, get out of here. What are you doing? And then he calls him out. Like Jason Alexander's like, you made me lose millions of dollars. And he was like, you were never in it for the money. I got you as far as I could. You were in it for the kill. You just wanted the business kill. And then gets him out.
Which honestly, that is where you're at sort of a crossroads. Cause I'm like, that is who you want working for your business.
It's true.
But you've crossed the line.
Yeah.
You've crossed the line, George. I mean, it was a violent scene. It's honestly, it's like watching someone just like blast a woman in the face like that hard. You're just like, dude, come on.
Well, it's interesting
then
too, because
God, she's icing her face after that. And she's just like, wow, I think I'm going to have a real shiner. And it's like, no, that dude just punched you.
Well, like, she also talks about, I mean, you're right. Yes, it would be much more graphic and gory in real life, but she does talk about it. She's just like, do men just do this to each other? Do they just hit each other in the face? Someone teach you how to hit someone? She's like, it really hurts. And it is a thing where it's like, it's very violent that he just like hits her in her face. Okay, hold on. We might be misplacing where this scene came in, but there's a scene also when, we missed a huge scene. They have fun together. This happens before the business thing. Hold on. We missed this part. They have fun together. They go on like a picnic. They get back to the hotel. She goes to the bathroom. She comes outside. He's asleep. And as he's asleep, she kisses him on the mouth.
Tenderly.
And then eventually he wakes up and they make out. They keep kissing on the mouth and then they make love. They don't have sex. They make love.
That their lips meet, and that was the rule that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's actually the payoff is strong because you're like, that was her one rule.
Yeah. And then there's another scene after that where he is like, I'd like to see you again. And then he talks about how he's going to set up all this stuff for her. He's going to set up a car. And then it kind of becomes this thing where she feels like it's more transactional. And she's like, and that's what, I think that's what he says. Like, I never treat you like a prostitute. And then he walks off. She says, until now.
Until now.
And then, okay. So then
It was weird, but she said, until now.
And then cut to black and credits. Hold on. So then we have, then she moves out of the, so we have the whole fight. She leaves, moves out of the hotel. Bernie gives her a ride, gets the limo driver to give her a ride home. She ends up telling her roommate she's moving to San Francisco. Her roommate tries to get another roommate, and her roommate's like, you got to get out of this hooking game. You can't keep doing it. And then finally he goes to check
Which is not that much different from living in New York in 10 years and just being like, how do I get out of this certain job? And you have roommates. I was like,
listen, that's where it brings it back to the oldest profession.
I was like, is this set in New York?
It's total. Yeah, it's absolutely just, we got to make money.
Yeah.
And then he goes to check out of the hotel. He gives the necklace back to get it returned. And then Bernie's like, the limo guy gave her a ride home the other day. And then he feels bad. And then he goes ahead and he shows up at her apartment. And he's in the limo and he gets up out of the limo, out of the sunroof. And then he calls out to her and he goes up with flowers. And then we talked about how he feels incredibly scared to walk up the fire escape.
Yeah.
And Richard Gere's like the most awkward person ever on a fire escape, which is just where people hang out. That's just your balcony in New York.
He's like, I've only ever been rich. I've never seen, I mean, it is. Yeah.
Every balcony he's been on has an infinity pool.
Yeah.
And this time he's on there. And then they kiss and then that's the end.
Yeah.
And then a random man walks across and just goes, Hollywood, you got a dream? Come here to Hollywood.
Listen, everyone listening, listen, pause, listen. The movie ends on the kiss, which it should.
Yeah, it's great.
And then just a random person walks by and is like,
Hollywood, you got a dream? Come to Hollywood because you can get that dream fulfilled in Hollywood.
Or it may not, but Hollywood. It's
just a guy that's like a random dude walking down the street that's just talking about.
And that right there is what we call a swing and a miss.
Well, so my question is, I don't remember, but I don't think that guy's in the beginning of the movie. If that guy started the movie,
yes,
and then he ended it,
you're right.
Then that's called the tie-up.
Yeah, that's where the movie. That is where you get caught up. Okay, I think this is what happened. He was supposed to kick her out of the car. Like that's in the lore of this movie. He was supposed to be like, you're a whore, kick her out. That's the end of the movie.
Right.
That is honestly, truly, storytelling wise, insane. Why would you even tell that story?
Right.
Unless the story is just like written by a guy that's like, I've fallen in love with a lot of whores, but I've remembered their whores. You know what I mean? Like that's the screenwriter's problem, that it's like, why is this the story you chose to tell?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's like, and then I came to my senses and I realized. So then they adjust it to make, I think, an interesting story that clearly resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, it's like you're not what society puts on you.
Yes.
And love conquers these things.
Yes.
Yes.
And whether that be true or not, debate, whatever. But basically, then they bring in this like Cinderella narrative to the third act. They talk about Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even this like, moment that it's like, Julia Roberts is like, yeah, they're talking to the other prostitute. And then it's like, oh, Cinderella. So they're making references to that. Then they get cold feet because the ending is a full on Cinderella.
Right.
And then the guy comes in to just be like, that may happen to you. That may not happen. There's no guarantee you're going to be Cinderella. But really, I think, first of all, it rang very odd because it's not set up in the beginning. Also, are you telling a big story, a small story? Are you telling, like, you just didn't need that guy?
Kind of turns it into like American Idol.
Yeah. And it turns it into like, this might not happen to you. It's like, yeah, I know. I'm not fucking Julia Roberts.
Right.
I'm not Richard Gere. I don't have $1 billion.
Right.
The hottest, most charming, coolest prostitute isn't going to be like, man, I want to get away from this life. And I want to be with this unsuccessful comedian. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So the ending, like, go watch the ending because I've heard so much about this movie. No one has ever told me that.
I didn't,
because I think that movie ends and people, they wipe it from their brain.
Totally.
But it's a weird fucking ending.
Okay, this is a thing.
You have it?
No. Well, this article says here's the original ending to Pretty Woman, and this is a video. I don't know what we're about to hear.
Yeah,
this may be really lame. Okay,
what's happening?
Let me set the scene. Here,
they're at the opera.
No, he is about to pull up to. This is behind the lens. Julia Roberts reveals ending to Pretty Woman. This is him rolling up to. It's him rolling up to her apartment.
Yeah.
He's sticking out of the top of the limo.
Yeah.
He's out of the sunroof. So hang on.
I want to watch this.
Let's watch this. Hold on. Here we go.
Julia Roberts is looking at him.
This is the 90s hit movie, Pretty Woman. Remember this one? It was my favorite. The limo, the roses, the happily ever after. Well, Julia Roberts says that wasn't the original plan. The actress told Variety magazine the original script had her being tossed out of a car and left in an alley. Once she signed on, though, the writers changed the script for this, a more romantic ending.
So they didn't film it.
They didn't film it. Yeah, that was just
Okay.
CNN telling us what we already knew.
So they didn't film it, which they shouldn't have, because it doesn't even make sense storytelling wise.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense in real life. I think that happens a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Have you seen
guys treating prostitutes horribly?
Totally. Yeah. Have you seen? We've talked about it when we've talked more about Sex in the City, but have you ever seen the movie White Girl?
No.
It's
Christopher Noth is in it.
Chris Noth is in it.
Edgy.
Very edgy. Justin Bartha's in it. It's just about like some gentrifying girls that move to like white girls that move to a Brooklyn neighborhood, and it's just like the worst version of the way things could go. But the end of it is kind of the way you would think that they're talking about Pretty Woman ending. Like, it's like these girls get involved with like some guys that get to be friends with from the neighborhood, and kind of in this way where it's like a gentrifying nightmare where they're like, oh, but we're like friends with these people. And then one girl tries to save a guy who has drug
And then Chris
debts.
Noth dies on a Peloton.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, the Chris Noth thing is actually incredibly dark too. Like, there's just like so much bad stuff that happens. And then at the end of the movie, you're like, dang, that just ended poorly. Like, a lot of people died and went to jail and nothing ended well. So it's not, I feel like if you, Pretty Woman would have just gone down as like a gritty movie to be like, oh, that's not really that's not like now. I'm trying to think. There's another movie. Oh no, I watched Working Girl.
Well,
Working Girl ends on like a high note. This like ends with the thing of like, there's possibility. Like, they're going to, you see the good in both of them.
Yeah.
And then they go on. If it would have just been like, she can't quit doing cocaine and he dumps her on the street. And yeah, that's a tragedy.
Well, and there's the, I guess, why you tell, like, what is the point of telling a story? Because a certain part of something is like, okay, what is the point? Oh, thank you.
Kevin gets the angel share, just the last little sip.
But like, what is the point? Like, why are you telling a story? I think this is like, honestly, something I kind of love about storytelling, you know, that it's like, why are you telling it? And when you can't define it, you haven't found it yet. And it is
interesting.
And because who is it for and what is it for? And it doesn't need to be to teach or whatever, but everybody knows. And I do think there's a bit of an epidemic of it the past like 10 years of certain storytelling. I like Breaking Bad. I love The Sopranos. I like all these like dark things, but there's a certain like nature of people being like, I like dark.
Well,
Things that are dark are good because they're real. And it's like, oh yeah, you think we don't realize being a fucking prostitute is horrible?
right.
This is a story about the person that something crazy happens in the world of being a prostitute and a rich businessman. This is the one time that this has happened.
Mhm.
And then there was like this group, there's just like a bunch of people that as a massive movie watchers, we realized the hole in that of being like, what's the point of this?
Mhm.
Things need to be more real and then things adapt. But I do think we got to a breaking point of being like, real is good, but it's like, yeah, what's the point of telling that story?
Yeah.
You know how many people have been kicked out of and so it was interesting watching this. It's like, it's not realistic
Mhm.
that the businessman does this, but there's more to learn than just being like, and if you're a prostitute, the businessman's going to kick you out of the car,
Right. Yeah.
which is probably still more realistic.
That's I was about to say that's probably more the way it goes. I don't want to just make a broad sweeping generalization, but like you're right. Probably more realistic, definitely more tragic. I'm sure the actual ending of Pretty Woman doesn't happen often, but you're right. Like you get a more you get a better you get better insight into like what's the point of this story if you end it the way that it ends now.
Yeah.
And I will say who do you think out of the relationship who had to deal with more stuff, Richard Gere or
Richard Gere?
Why do you think so? Him or Julia Roberts?
Because I don't think that he is in touch with himself or what he wants from life.
Totally. I think that's absolutely true. Yeah. I think that you see him when he gives the necklace back and he's like, all right, I'm going back to New York. And the guy at the hotel, Bernie, which also you got to think this.
The best.
Yeah. And you got to think this too. Like, I don't know what the name of his job is. The hotel. I keep wanting to say maitre d', but like him being at the hotel.
I'm the hotel man.
I'm the hotel man. Maybe the manager. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he is also working. He's working a front facing job. He's working a higher end service job, but he is at this place where he can kind of be like, hey, like Julia Roberts even says to him, look, you and I live in reality. We know the deal. It's been great knowing you. And he's like, I'm going to get the limo guy. He'll take you anywhere we want to go. Like all of them are very much on the level of reality, but you're right. Richard Gere is you kind of see it in the place where he's like, I'm giving you this necklace back. Yes, I know this is awkward. Okay, I'm going to go. Like he's not dealing with the reality in his life for sure.
And then what's the line that he says? Bernie says, don't give up something.
Oh man,
damn it. We're sorry. Go watch the movie. But he says like, don't give up something have you ever, cause he's giving back the thing. He's like, you shouldn't give back something this precious or something along those lines.
I'm gonna look it up.
This is how you know who's going to be better, right? If the movie ends and Richard Gere throws her out of a cab, or let's say he lavishes her and climbs up the stairs and is like, I love you. Either way, I think in a year's time, Julia Roberts' character is going to be in a better place in her life.
Even if it didn't end up the way it ended.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I do think because, and I don't know what this means for storytelling or whatever, but I do think that it's like, this is the story of a person that it's like some circumstances got her into this place, but she's herself. And this person that is like judged by society and by places that it's like, everyone's judging and everyone's just being like, hey, listen, like, she's like, I'm myself. I may not be what you want, but like, I'm going to be me if we're at the Kentucky Derby, if we're out to dinner. Like, I'm not pulling any punches. And someone who's not themselves getting back in touch with that through this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Julia Roberts is not just there to like teach him, blah, blah, blah. She's just herself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just saying this from a point of like, I feel more comfortable that no matter what happens,
Mm-hmm.
Julia Roberts, the Pretty Woman, is going to be in a healthier place in 1 year from now, no matter how the credits roll at the end.
Yeah.
Because Hollywood's crazy.
Listen, I just found this thing. I was looking to find that line of what they say to each other, which
Yeah.
go back and watch the movie because it is a really great scene. But I found this. It's called Pretty Woman Original Screenplay Second Draft by J.F. Lawton. And this is the ending. I don't know if this is the super dark ending.
Okay.
I'll just read it. So basically, we have, we have the hotel lobby. Edward hands his keys to the desk clerk of the main desk. A bellboy is taking his bags to Mercedes. Richard Gere says, "Is everything taken care of?" "Yes, sir, I believe so. Let me just check the phone bill." Mr. Thomas, Mr. Harris, "I trust your stay has been enjoyable. It's been wonderful. Miss Vivian left something to give you." Yes, he says, "Everything is taken care of." Good. Edward's face visibly falls as Miss Thomas hands him an envelope. He holds it loosely and he stares at it blankly. He turns and exits the lobby. So I think that she gives him back the money. Is that what happens?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end scene, we're back on Hollywood Boulevard. Edward, Richard Gere, stands on a street corner feeling like a fool.
Good.
A redheaded prostitute walks by. He stops her. "Edward, pardon me. I'm looking for someone. She's a blonde woman. Pretty mouthy. Kind of difficult. Interior coffee shop day." Vivian stares down at her food, trembling. Kate is yelling at her. "Kate, go out there. Go. What do you want? For him to put up a billboard saying he's sorry? What are you waiting for?" Vivian glares across the street at Edward. The prostitute he is talking to shakes her head and walks away from him. Vivian takes a deep breath and closes her eyes. Exterior Hollywood Boulevard day. Edward stands looking around. The sun is out and it's hot. He wipes the sweat from his forehead. He turns to look in the other direction. Vivian is standing there looking at him with a snide look on her face. Vivian: "What? You need directions?" Edward: "Yes, I think I'm lost again." Vivian: "What do I look like? A tour guide?" They each take a step forward, throw their arms around each other, and kiss. So I guess in that one, he just goes back and finds her, and they find each other in that one.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. One more line. Edward puts Vivian in the car, drives 3 blocks, kicks her out onto the street.
Oh my gosh.
Good Lord.
Oh my word.
Wow.
Well, even that one is him.
That one's him saying, "I'm lost again."
Yeah.
Like in that one, it's that I think you're right. Like he has the most to find out of anyone in this. He's totally lost in himself.
But even in that, it's like close, but what's the point that it's just like everyone, because that is just like, yeah. And then you replay that end of that story is like, yeah, then you replay it because you're going to do the same thing a bunch of times. You didn't learn anything.
Right.
You just went back to the prostitute that you really liked.
So this brings up another thing. Yeah. This brings up another thing real quick though. You said this, I think in the first episode we did of this, but like there's a whole trope of guys getting sex workers or prostitutes and then they get them to home or hotel or whatever and they just talk to them.
Yeah.
And nothing happens except talking. And that end of that screenplay, it's kind of the same thing of like, I guess I'm lost again. It's like a lost man trying to just find someone to open up to and be intimate with.
Yeah.
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 And not even intimate physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like that there's, I guess they did a good job in this of showing like Richard Gere, even though he finds her and he's like, I don't know, I'm just trying to drive this Lotus.
Yeah.
he's definitely kind of lost in his life from the beginning to the end.
Well, kind of the brilliant thing of this is like, instead of it just being like, no, I just want to talk to you. It's like, I want to learn more about you. And I'm also going to fuck you on a piano. Do you know what I mean? Because it's the spirit of the movie is like, she's more than just a prostitute, but then you watch it and it's like, she sucks his dick. He fucks her on a piano. Like they're fucking all the time.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But it is the spirit of, I want more. I want to connect with you.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of the best of, I mean, of the modern era, it's the best of like that type of story. And I think it's because it's filled with like sex and romance and connection. Whereas a lot of them are just like, a prostitute's only going to be only for sex, or they have a connection, or they just talk. And this is kind of like all three.
Well, even if they have a connection at the end, it's like, and there's that one scene where he's like, I want to set this up. I'd like to see you again. And then she senses, oh, I'm just your call girl now.
Yeah.
And like, that's the connection. But then I guess the thing that brings this home is that by the end, he's like, okay, this connection comes with commitment.
Yeah.
I'm going to, you know,
I'm gonna climb up a fire escape.
That's going to be the scariest thing I've ever done.
And I'm gonna kiss you, but I'm gonna be nervous because I don't like being in these neighborhoods.
Welcome to Hollywood. Anyone can make it.
But maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just be another regular hoe.
I mean, that's the end of the
story.
What that guy's saying.
Yeah.
It's a roll the dice.
This is a long pod.
This was a great movie.
Great movie.
Thank you so much.
5 out of 5. One of the best movies we've watched. 100%.
Absolutely. Let us know what else we should watch. Let us know what you thought of Pretty Woman if you rewatched it, because we did this. And we will talk to you soon. Rate us on iTunes. And also just thank you for being patrons. And thank you.
Good night, pretty women and men, and everyone else.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Corey Cabin, Kevin James Doyle, and John Sieber. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balin, and narrated by Katie Sieber. This podcast is part of the Seltzer Kings Network. Check out all their great podcasts at seltzerkings.com. You can find the boys on their socials at The Bradshaw Boys or on their website at thebradshawboys.com. And as always, if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.